What's up, guys? Welcome to Fitter Food Radio. This is episode 213. I'll have you know. And of course, it's me, Matt Whitmore, and
Me, Keris
Keris.
Marsden.
Keris
So
Marsden.
you said 13.
13.
13.
Are you taking the mick out of my
Yeah,
accent?
yeah.
We like an F. Us South East Londoners.
We were talking about this at the weekend, weren't we, over dinner? And I was saying, when you analyze all the different accents, how you can like spot the phonetic changes, but you seem to be able to like, I don't know, you just pick them up and mimic them straight away. You hear it once and you can mimic it.
I mean, do the accent.
Yeah, whereas I
I don't know
can't.
about that.
And weirdly, I did a whole project on at A level and it was about identifying phonetic differences between regional dialects.
Do you know what's interesting, actually? I don't know why my brain's just gone to this, but it's like we often have this chat, don't we? Like I'll try and be funny and I'll say something in a particular accent. And then you'll go, oh, do that again, do that again. And you'll try and film me. And I'm almost like, no, like, I'm not going to perform for you. But more so, like, when I sometimes kind of like take the bait and I go, I'll go on, then I'll try and do it again. I feel like the accent's not as good.
Oh, I see.
So it's almost like,
comes naturally.
yeah, when you're just doing
You're
it
speaking in tongue.
when you're doing it for a laugh or whatever. Whereas when all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to film you doing this and it has to be good, it has to be funny.
Oh God, yeah.
It's almost like the pressure,
Yeah.
the pressure gets to you.
Great off camera. Dogs even. Like,
Yeah,
they're amazing.
I know.
Put a camera on a dog and it
As soon as the camera comes
yeah.
out. But there is something I read something about like athletes and like when athletes are trying to do a particular task or a drill, like and linking it to obviously how much pressure inhibits performance.
Yeah.
When the ultimate goal is to relax.
Yeah.
Because that's when you'll perform at your best.
That's a metaphor for life though, isn't it?
100%. And weirdly, like last night, some mates and I got together for like a kung fu film evening. So there's no actual kung fu, watching a film.
We put our pajamas on,
yeah,
and got the pillows out.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The pillow fight.
Yeah.
But we actually watched Bloodsport. I don't know if there's any Jean-Claude Van Damme fans out there, but for me, like that was the film back in the day, and Jean-Claude Van Damme was my idol. But we all watched it last night. We were just pissing ourselves because we were like, God, it's so bad. Like, but at the time it was amazing.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean? Like, the acting was bad, the choreography was terrible, but it added to it. We were just like laughing or whatever. Anyway, we got there and we were doing a bit of shooting. We did some archery. Then we got into the film. And one of the guys was like, oh, have you done shooting before? Because I was like, pew, pew, like hitting the targets. And I was like, well, not properly. But the last time I did it was on one of my good mates' stag do a couple of years ago. And I said it was quite bizarre because we were shooting, axe throwing, doing archery, but also it's a stag do, so we're drinking. And they were like, oh, that's a bit risky. And I was like, yeah, it was a bit, but I think we were in safe hands and there was no fatalities or injuries. I said, but what was interesting was everyone was getting better
as they got more drunk,
as they were drinking more.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they were just relaxed and they weren't worried about, well, what if I miss? Like, I've got to look good in front of the guys. It was just, you were just relaxed. And all of a sudden it was like, pew, 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 like just hitting the targets. And I was like, God, that's interesting, isn't it?
I don't remember listening.
Not this is not health advice,
no.
Suggestion, or
it's like that. What's it called? The last round that we watched, where the teachers have a tiny bit of alcohol every day and they become better teachers. But it was a certain amount.
Did you say the last round that we watched?
The film's called The Last Round, I think, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, with the teachers. It's
right.
Do you remember it? It's a French film, or it might be
like Danish or something.
Danish, yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yeah, it was like, just taking on almost like a
small amount,
medicinal amount,
because apparently, like, it's just to bring up your blood alcohol level to a certain point, which would obviously have an effect on the nervous system. But we have both said, like, alcohol, it's so interesting, has like an anxiety relieving effect. Everyone knows this. Then the problem is once you've got some in you, what kicks in is like, this is great, have some more. And that's when it's problematic,
Yeah.
And there is a sweet spot. And I keep thinking about the glass of wine a day that's kind of part of the Mediterranean diet. But I do also know, I actually had a client this week who said for her anxiety, she does one glass of wine at night and always has done. And said it makes her just feel okay before bed. And it's just really, that's not a problem. Like, as in, you could argue it is, there's a dependency, but it's not affecting our health negatively. Do you see what I mean? Like, is it positive? But who knows?
Who knows? I suppose like the key here is like, like no one should have a dependency on anything, right?
Well, I guess underlying
like
it,
whether it's like exercise, alcohol, sleeping tablets. Do you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be like, oh, I have to have this in order to sleep. I have to have this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but then I think one thing that's become apparent to me, and I'm boring you witless, I think, talking about it, is the best way that I'm helping people at the moment, like this is people in our groups and one-to-one, is like challenge yourself not to have the thing. But that in itself creates, you've got to start developing a level of awareness. And some people are ready for that. And some people are like, what do you mean? Like, so they're not ready. And so when you get to that moment of, but what you would then realize, this is what happened with me, is every time someone was trying to get me to do some kind of meditative or mind-body practice, I would easily find a way to not do it with the justification of, I don't have time, I'm busy, or I'll do it when. And so part of me was like, maybe I'm just not convinced on the efficacy of it. So that doubting part of my brain. But I actually think underlying was a real fear of, if I don't do this, what is there underneath it all? Do you see what I mean? And I'm not ready for that. So when I did start that practice, and I've been incredibly lucky, like I think, to be able to have some great coaching with it. And then I think I'm also incredibly lucky to have been so ill at times, like especially last year when I got COVID, where I was like, I have no choice but to sit still. And so the first thing that went is all the busyness of doing like work and running and training and being at the gym and, courses and building my CV up that no one ever reads. Do you know what I mean? No one cares. And so all of that went first.
You're a really hard worker. It's great as part of a team.
We've had some funny moments, right, in where Matt and I have done like consultancy work, and they've said like, can you just send us a CV so we've got it on file? And then Matt's like, I haven't written one since I was 40, 50.
Yeah.
Then we had great fun writing your little summary. What's it called? I can't remember what it is. It's so bloody irrelevant when you step back and look at it all, especially now. Anyway, I've lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Oh yeah, so I think I was really lucky to have.
Apologies for like, the loudest vehicle in the world. What even is that? What makes that noise?
Tractor.
I'm just imagining this person sitting on a bike just going
yeah, just making a loud noise. Anyway, yeah, so all of the busyness got taken away, but then my mind created a lot of things that I needed to worry about, and it literally went nuts. And I remember thinking, gosh, my symptoms are getting better, but my anxiety is getting worse. And it's almost like, what is this? Is this a fear of going back to being that busy person? Like, that was definitely being planted as like, how sustainable is this? Will you get sick again? How much do you even enjoy all of that doing? But then I couldn't be with the stillness of the quiet. Like that was also terrifying. And I just noted myself, I'd always want to eat more, or I'd need to go and get another coffee, or then I started cleaning and spring cleaning, and then once I'd done that cleaning, I started cleaning out cupboards and basements and garden. You know what I mean? It just went on and on and on. And so I think that underlying it is like just decades of stuff that you've kept really busy and not wanted to do. So when we wind back to like what we were talking about in the beginning, it's almost like I think that's the problem for most people at the moment, is there's now something to do all the time. So when we talk about doing, it's not just like, oh, the gym or my laptop, ticking off that thing for work, or, taking the kids to school. Outside of that, you're still doing all the time because of technology now. So your brain will be like planning or thinking or, kind of filling your mind with stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's the other way around, really. The mind is filling the brain, and then your phone is this thing that just gives you access to doing all the time. And now I think what we really need, and this is why it comes to why the need for the alcohol at the end of the day, it's like we're just too stimulated. We're just too wired all the time. Like, you don't even need to be having, I've seen more people than ever giving up caffeine.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't know that it's the caffeine. Like, isn't it that you just know what the whole world is doing in the palm of your hand? Like, and there's a lot to worry about in there, a lot,
But again, it's like, it just comes back to striking a balance, doesn't it? And it's almost like, I guess, like everything needs an element of balance. Like exercise is good for you, but it doesn't mean you should just be exercising all the time. Like sleep is good for you, but you should be sleeping all the time. But like sleeping allows you to be rested to do the other things. And I think like for me, like when I look at it, I'm like, there's just not enough balance anymore.
No,
Like
no.
everything's just gone a little bit higgledy piggledy,
And
and
actually,
everything's like it's just do all the time. And
but also most people's problem is like a combination of ADHD and anxiety. And the next thing they get told is, oh, you've got ADHD. Like everyone has ADHD. I'm almost confident now that everyone has ADHD.
yeah,
Because of the impact of technology. And then I think also the stress of the way that we have all this knowledge and understanding of the world and the way the world is going, and government screwing everything up. And so the distraction is also so vital for us to even feel slightly cognitively safe, if that makes sense. So it's like, well, don't think about that. Think about this. Look at all of this. And the anxiety that kind of comes with that, again, is also then being fueled by a nervous system that is just hyper vigilant all the time because there's so much to worry about and never feel safe. Like it's quite an unpredictable world right now. But when I speak to clients, they're like, okay, I'm just so threatened by AI. I'm just so traumatized by what's going on in Gaza. I just really struggle with the government right now and the unfairness of my situation, everyone's situation. If it's not them, it's their immediate family. I'm terrified for my kids. Like I think my child is neurodiverse and is going to have the toughest, most challenging future. I'm terrified for my teenager that's got depression. It's I guess there's so much coming at us that it's enough to drive you mad. And this is where I feel like the only thing we really have left is to come back to kind of an element of stillness, mindfulness, discipline around this, getting off technology and coming back to ourselves. Because if we were a small village right now with some great mentors, we'd find solutions to this. Do you see what I mean? Whereas what we've got is like a tsunami of stuff coming, and then everyone's just running around in different directions and trying to almost slightly save themselves, but then reach out for others when they have got a minute. But no one's thinking logically about building an ark. There you go, got a bit religious there. Like build an ark now. Do you know what I mean? The tsunami's not going to stop. So build the ark now, which I feel is like
a metaphoric.
Yeah, which I've always said to you, when it gets too much, and I was there through illness where I was like, it's taken everything. And I still don't even think I've hit rock bottom. I know people a lot worse than me in this situation that I've met through communities that I've worked with. But there's something about rock bottom where you just go back and go, I've got nothing to lose. And I've only got one thing to try. And it's trust myself, trust my body, trust the process. And I'll find this through some degree of stillness and meditation, and then build that as like a strength within you, but also this kind of, I guess, the wisdom and the knowledge that it brings. Part of that allows you to go into anything again and stay true because you're connected to yourself. And by that I mean like your emotions that come up, your anger, you can people displease, you can defend yourself with anger, you can express, like that's just out of order. But then you can also have compassion, like that's terrible, I can't do anything about that, I'm just going to sit and feel the pain of that, but I can't do anything about it. I'm doing that with Hamish at the moment because he's like, some mornings he's so old and he can't jump in the car anymore. But before that I was going, you remember, I was like getting really emotional about it, and I was like looking at MRIs. I was like, do we get a hip replacement? Do we do this? What supplements can I give him? What about CBD? I was going like overreacting to a situation where like he's 12 years old, he's run like a nutter. This is him getting old, and you have to accept that. And like that's part of getting a dog, is they're probably gonna not live as long as you, despite us wanting them to.
It is part of the journey, right? It's like it's part of
accepting pain is a part of being in love with something.
Yeah, and accepting loss and grief and all of that. And it's you don't want to dwell on it, obviously, but
the day one of a puppy, you're gonna die before I can't take it.
But I think like, something you said there about kind of like, you know, it's like it's within you type thing. And I think the problem is like there is so much external stimulation. There is so much like information out there about different things. Like that in itself, it just gets overwhelming. It's like you just said, like, you know, you could Google something about, you know, a symptom that your dog's got. 100 bloody 1,000 different things will come up as to what it may be and what you should do about it. Same goes for, you know, fat loss, building muscle, training, health, wellness. It's like, you know, what's the
Menopause.
best supplement? What's the best diet? And again, you get like a million different answers. And but actually, like we spoke about this before, like people don't take a moment to go, actually, what works for me? What makes me feel good? You know, and can I own that and go, well, do you know what? Like there might be a lot of this stuff that says become vegetarian, you know, for ethical and health reasons. But you know what? I actually feel really good for eating meat. You know, I don't eat a crazy amount anyway, and then
that's
I'm
the thing.
happy
As
with
long as we're
this.
just kind of doing enough, you know, it's like, but you're triggered. The thing about all the social media is you're triggered into guilt and shame all the time about your actions. And then if you don't feel good about what you're doing and you're questioning it, there's a million people to tell you doing the wrong thing, and then a million things that you should be doing, as you just said. So, but this is where the main drive of a lot of that media is to make you go and buy something. And as soon as you can get wise to that and go, I'm actually being manipulated here.
Yeah.
So when you go to pick up your phone, and this is where I've loved Ellen Langer's work, where she's like, everything can be reframed to make a lot more sense to you than someone forcing you to think a certain way. So instead of looking at that phone and going, oh, there might be something interesting on there, why not go, oh, I feel like being manipulated and wasting some money, so I'm going to pick my phone up and feel like shit about something. And even if it's, we all do weird things on there, like start voyeuring people that we knew when we were 15 to see if their shit turned out better than us. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it is that whole, it's all been designed to appeal to the weird parts of us. And even that is something that I've really sat with, like, God, I am a bit of a weirdo. Like, and that's cool as well. Like, it's just something in the human psyche that we're a bit strange at times. And I could ask you things and you'd be like, I'm a bit of a weirdo because I do this. And we'll never tell a soul, maybe, unless we, you know, at some point decide to. But all of it's just, but it's interesting because it's like the social media.
It was almost like you were about to share what it was, and you were like, oh no, it's too weird.
It's too weird. That's okay. Maybe when I do more stillness, I'll work on it and go, right, here's my weirdness.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a freak at heart, I think.
Everyone's got their quirks though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
But
I was gonna say, even things like, for ages when I had AMSR, I never told anybody. Now it's the thing online. Whereas I was always just like, oh, like if someone turns a newspaper really slowly, it makes me tingle.
But you know, honestly, ASMR.
Or if someone tickles Hamish, it gives me and watching Hamish have an interaction with someone. I mean, it is a beautiful thing to watch, but he loves old dears in cafes. I've said this before probably, and he goes up and he puts his head in their lap. He puts his head in their lap. They stroke his ear.
They love it.
You would love that.
Yeah.
You love your ear stroke.
I do.
But would you go and put your head in an old ear's? You were a dog in a former life.
Maybe I was.
You were definitely a dog. You like peeing outside.
Yeah.
Scratching your nuts. Yeah. Anyway, lost the. But yeah, he like him doing that. I used like, and then I said it to a friend, and I remember him having this moment. This was only about 2 years ago. Do you remember we had some friends over for dinner, and he was like, I didn't even know that's what it was. I have that. And I've always wondered all my life what that was. But now, because we have people writing all of this stuff and selling products, they have these weird things, and they know how to appeal to people with
ASMR is, don't get me wrong, like turning of pages, I get it, like that can be quite relaxing. Hearing Hamish like snore,
that's
incredibly relaxing. That the crackle of a fire, you know, very, very nice. The one I do not get, I'm sorry, I never ever will.
Hair brushing is one for me.
Is people who like one that the sound of someone whispering.
Oh no, I don't get that.
And I just find it weird. And also eating. I don't want to hear someone chomping and chewing. And I'm like, what's that all about?
Yeah. But you know where this is really good as well?
To each their own and all that.
Yeah, because it's also what we're trying to talk about in to some degree is like when we're in a state of like mental chaos, which I think we all are at the moment, we also create these like incredibly kind of elaborate stories around stuff, and we give so much meaning to things that don't really have any meaning. And I think one thing that I have benefited from is the more I've done meditation, mindfulness, emotional processing, I've gone, God, look at the story that I created around, for example, my body, like my body image, everything. It was so powerful and so fierce that it was almost like, you do know it's like a social disaster for you to relax about that or not have that tone or fitness or definition. And the more I've got there with it, the more I'm looking around going, oh God, our industry is absolutely terrified of aging, loss of tone. And as a result, they're terrified of injury. They're terrified of like stopping and resting and refueling. And gosh, I've been there, obviously, like former exercise addict, so I've been at both ends. But luckily, illness and injury would keep tripwiring me, where I was like, I need something else to like look after my mental health, but also because I work in nutrition and fitness and yoga, then I was like, yeah, but I kind of need my body. Like my body is my business. But as I've stepped back and back and back, and what was great is every time I got gastritis, I would lose so much weight. I would drop 4 or 5 kilos, and people would actually say, you know, you look amazing, and never seen you look this slim. And they didn't mean it, but it planted the seed in me to a point where I was realizing that when I was trying to get better, I was like, I'm slightly scared to gain weight because you all said I look amazing. And I'm not really doing anything here other than just being ill. So there's no more exercise. And, you know, I even had comments like, I wish I had what you had. And, you know, that's just a terrible thing. But it actually was great for me to go, okay, I can see now that this is a real problem for me and something I need to work through, because I'm feeling like if I gain weight, people will think that I don't know what I'm talking about and don't have a right to be in the health industry now. And of course, we have the opposite of that with the body positive movement, but that's slightly gone, as we know, pro-obese. Like it's gone pro the opposite direction, like almost like a rebellion, a bit like feminism. It becomes almost like such a fierce rebellion that it gets quite egoic, and then it can't see the two sides of the story. And so everything is on a spectrum, and this is what we're actually taught in kind of meditation classes. The worst thing we can do is be so fiercely liking something and disliking something. We've just lost openness and the ability to surrender to life rather. So we're in this state of control, control, control. And the body image piece got interesting for me because as I was trying, you know, carnivore to help with the gastritis, or, you know, you end up kind of with a completely flat stomach and looking ripped. And then as I tried to add more foods back in, you get bloated. And I was like, oh, that means that the vegetables are bad. I'm bloated. I can't digest them. But then when I was in carnivore groups, I noticed everybody viscerally hated the bloat. And there's a few guys in there that were like, even a baby can digest carrots. Like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
And I was like, is this about the bloat, or is this about you have a belly again? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so how much are we losing the kind of healing and the wellness all the way back to this bloody egoic kind of body image shit all over again? Do you see what I mean? And refusing to age, or, you know, and so men in their 40s are suddenly turning to like fitness and ultimate. I say men not only because I think women at 40s, because of perimenopause and menopause, tend to turn a little bit more now to like strength training. It's almost like a massive role switch if you think about it. So women are like bone density, weight gain with menopause, loss of insulin sensitivity, watching Gabrielle Lyons, I'm going to get back to the gym, I'm going to build muscle. Whereas I see a lot of men being more like, I need to get out of the house, I fucking hate this house, so I'm going to do a duathlon or a triathlon or an ultra marathon. That's a massive stereotype, but just patterns that we're seeing where we have groups, and it's almost like a lot of the blokes have decided to have some superhuman fitness goal.
Yeah.
And at 40, like it's the new midlife crisis.
It's true.
And then women have gone more around the route of like, I'm going to build and I'm going to get strong. But it's still, we're contracting out to something external to define our sense of self and happiness. And what if, and that's why I do feel that the people that do end up with chronic illness almost have this, if you can get through that and you can find tools, like you're friggin' invincible. If you're not relying on your physical self and your physical appearance to define you and make you an acceptable human, you'll be incredible and you'll live the happiest, most authentic life.
And well, yeah, but again, like
Speech over.
it comes down to like, you sure?
Sorry, yeah.
You done? Are you done? She done? Is she done yet?
At the end of the day, if the tsunami comes, we're all fucked.
So we need to go. And another thing.
But you know what's interesting? There's no books. There's no books on this.
Exhibit
When I go to-
Exhibit A.
When I go to get a book on this has been my frustration this week. I've talked to clients. I'm like, I'd love a book to just
Get it off your chest, folks.
There's no books. The books about body image are about almost like overcoming body image with body positivity. We're still talking about the body. The body is still defining us. We're still being judged by the body and our ability to go to, or we like or we dislike the cultural pressure around our body.
And what's interesting is, so it's like when you think of like aesthetics, performance, right? You know, like, and don't get me wrong, for most sports, for most like top level athletes, men and women, like their figure and physique is reflective of their physical capabilities as well. Right? You know, you look at like pro tennis players, pro footballers, pro runners, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you know, their body matches what they do.
Yeah.
Obviously, certain sports you could argue that it leans more on you know, the much more on the performance side of things. So for example, like that guy who just broke the deadlift world record, you know, 505 kilos for something or other. But of course, like, he's not shredded because that would work against it. If he was striving to be like, you know, 6% body fat and be like the strongest mofo in the world, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sumo wrestlers, you know, you never see a shredded sumo wrestler. Like, you know, is it healthy? Probably not. But does it benefit their performance for their chosen sport? Absolutely. And I kind of feel like you're always going to get some people that aesthetically, they just look better than you. You know, for whatever reason, you could do the exact same bloody sport. CrossFit's a great example. You know, you could go to the same CrossFit classes as someone else and you train just as hard. You may even be fitter than them, but they look better than you, in your opinion. Like, they're a bit leaner, they've got more muscle, like blah, blah, blah. And I think there comes a point where it's like, we need to stop comparing. We need to keep going, well, I do what you do. Why don't I look like that? You know what I mean? And just going, yeah, but, you know, genetics, blah, 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 like how long you've been training for, like so many things like impact here. But I think what would benefit everybody when they're on a journey to look after themselves, be healthier, have more energy, build muscle, be leaner, all of these things, it's like, just totally own what you want your body to be able to do. And don't try to convince yourself that you want something when you don't. And what I mean by this is, I feel like I'm going around the houses, but I'm going to get there. Like, I had a chat with a client the other day that was talking about how I don't want to obsess over the weighing scams. I don't want a weight loss goal. I just want to focus on being strong, building muscle, longevity, and all of that. And I'm like, yeah, but it would be irresponsible of me to not urge you to lose some weight as part of that. Like, that's not me being an arsehole. That's me going like, look, you can have a performance goal. You can be focused on getting stronger and building muscle and longevity, but that doesn't mean you dismiss body composition. And this is a beef that I do have sometimes with the body positivity movement, is it's almost like, can't talk about fat, can't talk about weight loss, because we need to focus on other things that are deemed more positive. And it's like, yeah, but who's chosen to make weight loss negative? Who made that decision? What's wrong with losing weight?
Like, but it also
but you know what I'm trying to say, though? Like, I do. So let me just round up. Like, so my point is like, I can tell when someone's bullshitting themselves. I can tell when someone's like, oh, you know, I just want to embrace getting strong and this, that, and the other. It's like, great, own that, but don't make out you don't want to lose weight. Because I know you do, because I've got the questionnaire response right in front of me here that specifically says multiple times about weight loss, fat loss, how gaining weight has knocked your confidence, knocked your energy, etc., etc. but it's almost like people try and convince themselves they want something else because that's seen as more acceptable,
Yeah.
that's seen as more empowering, more positive. And I'm like, no, fuck that. Like,
But
what's wrong with
also,
going, I want to lose weight?
in defense
Like,
in defense of that, I think what a lot of women struggle with now is they know that they're not healthy. They feel responsible for that. They know there's some self-sabotaging going on. They're looking for support and help and accountability to lose weight, but they're very conscious of inflicting that journey and that kind of struggle on the next generation, because they feel that it came from their parents largely, and watching their parents and their parents overfeeding, underfeeding them as kids, dieting, comfort eating through trauma. Like, so when you actually start stepping back, and of course that we want to have this like negative reaction to the generation before us, like, you said this, you did that, you caused this, but something caused it in them. We're all human beings. And then this is where I say, like, we can all read the situation differently in a way that could be, once we're doing the work, I feel a lot more compassion. I'm tired of blaming anybody. What's the point? Like, we're all, and behind the scenes, I know I have an entire life, as do you, that our listeners do not know about. And at some point we might share more of that. At some point we may never, because it involves other people. But behind the scenes is a very deep human struggle. And some of the mistakes we make are because we try to control and fix that situation. And if we don't process it, and we don't have, like, Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote Body Keeps Score, and Gabor Mate both talk about this, we need a compassionate witness in our times of real struggle and shock and trauma. And it could be simple as like bullying comments. I know people, it was just one comment that triggered an eating disorder in them, and now they're struggling with weight because they've got over the eating disorder, tried to neutralize food, but become almost like, I'm not allowed all the food. That's what my therapist said. And now I'm overweight, and now I've got health issues, weight related. So traumatic experiences don't have to be big T traumas. They can be small T, but you just did not have the compassionate, like, support there to help you through it. But I think what's also hard about this generation, especially the women I'm working with who have kids, is they're trying to make sure that never happens to their children. And that's creating this kind of like real desire to control all external outcomes, and you just can't. And so of course they're absolutely like exhausted, because they're coming home from school, these kids, and telling their parents about these really difficult situations, circumstances. Parents are going at other parents. Like, it's just so much kind of I guess like conflict and just uncontrollable outcomes. And it all comes back to like I say this really confidently, the only thing I could do in the end, after kind of spinning out and like burning out so many times over, trying to fix and control so many situations I would never control. And even just, I think I had a moment today where I was like, going online at like, I don't know, when did we launch our business? Just after 30, going online and having hundreds and hundreds of people in groups and trying to answer all those questions, and then getting angry if people didn't listen and having to repeat myself. And I love you all, by the way, but that frustration of like, no one's listening to me, and I'm here and I'm showing up. And I'm seeing that in parents now, like no one's listening to them. There's this shiny phone with all these, like you just said, these pretty attractive, buff, loud extroverts saying, look at me, you can be like me. And I know it, and people listening might be like, fuck, this is overwhelming, I'm being triggered, I need to turn Keris and Matt off. But what I want to say is, like, the solutions are there. They really are. Like, and it's why, I've been basically saying to you for a long time, I'm going to set up a mind body platform and bring in some of the most powerful speakers that spoke to me in my moments of absolute chaos. Like, when you could not talk me down from like, I'm screwed. I've tried everything, I'm screwed. More symptoms keep appearing. People say it's breathing properly, your stomach's full of tension. I can't stop any of that. I tried everything, acupuncture, herbs, visceral osteopathy, blah, blah, blah. Like, I can't stop it. So it's like, what can I do? And these great teachers came in and they were like, we're going still. We're going to sit with it. And we're going to sit and we're going to understand it. We're going to see that you've created some of this, like as in your story. We're going to change that story. We're going to neutralize that story. We're going to get way more accepting, less control. We're going to build wisdom of how the brain works, so when it comes back in and tries to screw you again, like over and over. And these tools have been amazing to use with clients, because most of the clients that we work with who are overweight, it's nothing to do with being greedy and lazy. They say that. They're like, oh, I have no control, I comfort eat, I emotionally eat. But then they feel that the reason that they emotionally eat is never going to go away. And that's the bit that we've been able to now really help them with. So because you might emotionally eat because of sadness around your kids, or like you married the wrong person, and you don't have to fix the kids and get divorced to stop the emotional eating.
Yeah.
But you might want to get divorced. I don't know. But you can only you have to bring self back online, because the other thing I noticed as I was working through this is that whilst you're kind of trying to fix everything externally, you project a lot. So you keep trying to blame your parents, or you keep trying to think, maybe it's Matt, like maybe we should be together. Of course, so your brain does all this stuff.
Imagine breaking up with me like live on the podcast.
And so that's where I got to. So
yeah. So with that, it's been nice knowing you. Thanks for the last 17 years. All the best.
But I say this because I watch people in consultations. What's been really nice is that I often spend the first part of the consultation just letting them go and talk. And I already have all the information from questionnaires. So I just want to hear the stories. I want to hear the meaning. I want to hear the words. I want to hear the perceptions. And I see two people appear in this little moment when I speak to someone. There's this really like wise Yoda going, I know that I need to do less. I know this isn't the way, but then I do this, and then I think this. And so what I've tried to explain to them is like, you do have two separate parts within the mind. And we have a part of our consciousness related to ego that fiercely wants to do things and fix things and control. And it's always going back to the memory bank of like, what did we do before? And how did we sort this? Cake. And it's really strong.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes is this wiser part of you that people say the soul, your higher consciousness, that the body wants to be healthy and you want to be healthy. You don't like feeling like you've eaten too much, drunk too much, taken too many drugs. We all hate that feeling. We all regret it, but we do it because we're trying to escape something. And so it's kind of, if we can get very comfortable with being uncomfortable, and a lot of that is about negative emotions and kind of accepting memories and forgiving ourselves for certain things and liking our weird parts. Like, we're freaks. So if we can like our weird parts, all the suppression stops. You don't have to do anything about your weird part. Like, you don't have to go and face plant into some old woman's lap in a coffee shop so she tickles your ears. But you can just go, God, I'm a bit weird that I like to have my ears tickled by Keris generally. But you're like, rub that ear.
Yeah, as I say, it's not just any
person.
Yeah.
I'm joking, but you know what I mean. So if you can start to accept that, but also just sit in these quiet periods and just see it all, and just see all of you and all the different parts of you, and experience it somatically through the body, and then also just, through separation from thoughts, and go like, there she goes again, like, worry about the size of your thighs. People are going to think that you aren't strong anymore and fit, and that you shouldn't be listened to because they've been following you because you're fit and you run, and do you see what I mean? And that's how the voice goes.
No, absolutely. And again, it just comes down to like being able to like kind of take ownership of where you're at, where you're going, what you want your body to look like, feel like, like I always give that example of like, I know that I'm bigger than the average guy, like in build. But the rest, I don't know.
We haven't even got to the nether regions.
I just realized as I said it, I was like, what are we talking about here? What is average? I don't know.
But you're still bringing it back to the physical, like the physical body.
No, I know I am. But it's important. It is important because people can get derailed because they have an idea of what they like, but they're so focused on what they think other people like and what is perceived as, the perfect figure or physique or whatever it might be. But the point I was trying to make is like that will always vary. Ask 10 guys what they look for in a female figure. Ask 10 women what they like as a look for guys. Like, I know, like, random example, I remember once walking up the road from the train station and I could hear two girls behind me, and one of them, like, I said to her friend, was like look at him, and then the other one went, he's too muscly for me. And I was like, I almost like smiled to myself because that was almost like one was acknowledging that they liked how I look, and the other one was like, no, it's too muscly, it's too big.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And it's
two
like,
sides of the story.
yeah,
Yeah,
you know, so it's almost like you could be striving to look a certain way because you're like, oh, this is going to make me more appealing to the opposite sex, or this is what people like, this is what looks good, this is like poster boy or poster girl
yeah,
physique or figure. But the reality is like everyone's got their own opinion. And it comes back to where it's like, well, I'm not going to go, oh, well, I'm going to make myself less muscular because,
so you're more acceptable to
yeah,
people.
yeah, because like, you know, more women will find me
Yeah.
attractive. Like, it's like, you know, if you and I first met and I was like really into you as I was, still am, but you were like, I don't know, like just physically, you're too big for me. I don't like it. I prefer like a more of like a triathlete build.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't get past it. I'm not going to go, oh, but Keris is like, she's everything I've ever wanted in a woman. Like
I'm going to challenge you on that.
I need to mold my
challenge you on that
physique.
because you do say, and you have said before, you'll go through phases of changing your training, and then you'll look at me and you'll go, do I look too big now? And I can tell that if I said yes, you would change your training.
No, I wouldn't.
You would.
It wouldn't.
You would.
I was
would.
just fishing for a compliment.
I think
I'm
you
like,
would. No, because then you
getting
say
our
to
compliment
me,
fishing rod out.
you
cast
say
it
to
out.
me, I think that you fell in love with me when I was a bit more athletic.
You were jacked when I met you.
Doesn't matter.
Like,
yeah, but that's why I no longer think, because you have loved me all shapes and sizes. Do you know what I mean?
that's me. I was like, you're right, mate. You got many sets left.
Do you mind if I jump in? That's what you said.
I was like, oh.
But you have clauses and conditions, and what you just mentioned was dropping clauses and conditions. I still have some, do not get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm completely immune to this. What I'm saying is I'm trying to gradually like ease them, become more flexible, but I've revisited my why on exercise and nutrition heavily, because if we're going to be doing this until we're 80 or 90, it needs for me to have some degree of enjoyment, which I think I'd lost, especially as you become a nutritional therapist, because it's almost like you shouldn't have caffeine, you shouldn't have alcohol, or what about oxalates, or what about the, you know, there's just a million things, there's mold on that, you don't eat that. And so I was like, right, especially when you're trying to get, when I was trying to gain weight with gastritis, I couldn't do it unless I started to go, I'm going to have to eat chocolate because I can't eat enough food. And so that got me thinking that one of the worst things we do is that full restriction, because once I did start eating the chocolate and the peanut butter again, I wanted all of it.
Yeah.
And I was non-stop because I've been so deprived. So I think like with our nutrition, we have to have elements of pleasure. We've said all this before, but it's so important for longevity. We have to have like the why is that we eat nutrient-dense meals because we want the stability and the body resourced for everything that's coming. We can't say we're stressed about all this stuff and not think about putting petrol in the car. You know what I mean? Like we do it with everything else in our lives. So for me, nutrition takes on the single role of not trying to hyper optimize so you can share on Instagram and show off to your other healthy mates, but literally resource your body. Like you said, that might mean you have meat, it might mean you don't. Like whatever, you know what whole foods are, and you eat 3 meals a day, 2 meals a day, whatever you decide, as long as you're not skipping a meal because you've looked in the mirror and you're looking a bit bloated today, that's not why we skip the meal. So we resource the body. And once you bring it back to that basic, we stop overthinking the shit out of it for a start, which was driving me mad. It must be driving everyone mad over the last 15 years. It was just got stupid. And then the same for exercise, where it's like, if you're truly saying, I'm doing this for bone density and I'm doing this for muscle mass, for aging, so I can, most of us just want to be able to get out the bath and live on our own in an old age, you know, with old age and not end up in a home. That's where I've seen some of my family go. And you may not get there because you may end up falling down the stairs and breaking your ankle anyway, and you end up in a home. But did we do our best? And our best is a couple of sessions a week that have the biggest impact on the body and on the way that our metabolism works and our muscles and bones can crosstalk. And that's very much how you train and have always trained and told everyone to train. And you do it in a way you're like, a couple of sessions a week, 2 to 4, no more. If you're training hours and hours, day after day, and then doing cardio and then this, that, you've lost the plot. You're doing it now through ego. And And outside of that, like, how do you love moving? And that's where, like, so for me, it's now like hiking and I haven't had a chance yet, but I want to get a bike again. I'm going to start. I used to cycle around the cliffs here years ago.
Yeah.
I stopped, like, and obviously cycling then became about exercise and
Yeah.
Strava and stuff. Dance, another way, like gardening sometimes I just really love, like, and I like being physical, so I'll often kind of with you we'll do bits and bobs around the house and I quite enjoy that, and I might listen to a talk or something, but it's not this whole thing of I do this to gain this, I do this so I don't have that. It's the control and attachment to the outcomes that means that there's always guilt and shame, and there's always a feeling that we're not doing enough and we should be doing more. And if we just simplified it and went, this is my training plan, this is the food I eat, I repeat that day in, day out, I have some enjoyment occasionally across the week, and you know what, if I'm sick or tired or injured, I take time off. And it sounds so obvious and no one is doing it. And that's why we're comfort eating and comfort buying.
Again, for me, it comes back to that thing of, it's like, no wonder we're always second guessing ourselves, because there's always different advice out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you couldn't possibly be content in the decision you've made because you happen to go on social media and you've seen 5 posts in the last 15 minutes, all saying completely different things to what you're doing. And the person that posted it happens to be in really good shape or a physique or figure that you aspire to have. Yeah. And you're like, oh shit, or maybe I shouldn't do it like this, I should do it like that instead. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I know it's not easy and I know it takes time. And something that you had mentioned near the beginning, or maybe this is what we were chatting about before the podcast, I can never remember, but like, we're always so quick to try and outsource stuff, you know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying don't seek help. I'm not saying don't, you know, buy a plan or whatever, because it almost sounds like we're doing ourselves a disservice. But everything you need is within. You don't need to buy anything from anyone ever again. But it's like, but how often have you actually just sat there and gone, do I really need to buy this program? Do I need to buy another training plan or a transformation plan or work with this mentor? Or am I just looking to outsource? Am I looking for a bit of distraction and someone to just tell me what to do? Or do I have enough inside me to kind of like to make these changes? Maybe I just, you know, I work with someone that I feel is going to help bring this all together and bring it to life type thing. Because I feel like there's always this second guessing, there's always this element of outsourcing, which, like I said, we all need help. Like, we've had mentors, we've worked with amazing coaches that have helped us massively on our journeys. But then we've also gone through phases where, like, full disclosure, like I was recently talking about to you, wasn't I, about working with another mentor, and you like had a go at me, and rightly so, like, because you were like, for fuck's sake, like, you don't need another mentor. Like, you've got everything you need. You know, stop looking for someone else to guide you. Like, I'm saying this because, you know, I love you, I care about you, and I know you've got this. You don't need that person. And it was weird because at first I was a bit like, oh, she's shouting at me. But it was like, no, but she's right. Like, I had a moment where it was almost like, oh, you know, I need help. I can't do this alone. I have to have someone else tell me what to do. But actually, when you do sit back and go, no, I've got all these tools. I've got them all. I just need to spend a bit of time. And it goes back to what you said earlier, actually pausing and breathing for a moment to go, right, where are these tools? Let's put them in a place where I can find them and I can access them easy and do the work. You know, like. But also, just to kind of, I'm not saying anyone shouldn't have a coach, buy transformation plans, nutrition plans, all those sorts of things. Like 100%, like you just said, when we have a time of need, we may need to go to someone. What I'm saying is that a great coach should be instilling confidence in you and helping you find your template for this stuff. Yeah. And yes, there's an element to which we have to do some things we don't like. So for example, you have lots of clients come back and go, can I not do deadlifts or squats this week? But if you think it's in their best interest for their injury, for their goal, for their like functional movement capacity, you're like, do it. Like, literally do it. Come on, we have to do things in life that we don't like. And this is what it comes back to. Look at all the kind of meditation practices, and it is about dropping the immense like and dislike. Because if we just follow the likes,
then we're going to be miserable forever, because life is full of things that we don't like,
Yeah.
including the weather. So when you're with a coach, they should push you through to the things that you don't like doing, to understand that I don't like brushing my teeth, but I do it because I like having teeth. And there's other things in my life I have to do. And I revisited training quite a bit through this phase, and was like, I think I'm done going into a room and lifting heavy things, because I did so much of it. However, I do like being strong. I love hauling Hamish out of rivers when he gets a little bit trapped. I like helping my friend recently with her Alsatian, and we had to lift him up, and we did it together. And I like being strong. So I'm going to do the minimal effective dose in the gym of functional strength, so that I can lift cases, garden, carry the shopping. I like that feeling.
Yeah.
And I like helping people if they've fallen over. Like, had an amazing moment when the nurses in hospital couldn't lift my granddad. Do you remember this? And I did, because basically they were like, one person cannot lift this man in the bed and he's fallen down. And so I was able to lift him, and my gran burst into tears. And I remember thinking, that's a proud strength moment for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, he's about 60 kilos, but I could bend over and lift him up the bed, whereas no nurse could. They were like, we're not allowed to lift that much weight. Anyway, side note. But I like being strong.
Yeah, of
so
course.
minimal effective dose for me in the gym.
Can you imagine if you were ever in it? Don't get me wrong, obviously, like, you know, there's some times where, like, you know, I'm not talking superhuman strength, but I think, like, God, if there was ever a time when, you know, heaven forbid, something happened, and had you just been a bit stronger, you could have helped someone.
Yeah.
Like, because I know how, I mean, don't get me wrong, like I said, I'm not expecting anyone to be able to lift a bloody car or anything like that, but it's like.
But can I give you this example? We walked down a beach recently, and it's a good couple of miles down this beach, and at the very end of the beach there's nothing. As in, and I say this because at the very end of the beach I have hip arthritis, and my hip, it kind of subluxed or did something, or like had a labral tear, and I just couldn't walk. And we're at the end of the beach, and the track back to the kind of steps and car parks at least another hour back, wasn't it? And you had to carry me, basically. So, and everyone I told that story to was like, "Pet man, love that proud moment." Like, firemen's lift me. At various points, I'd walk a little bit more and you'd have a rest, but you were able to carry me. And there are not many people that could say that they could carry their partner off the beach. And similarly, when Hamish, do you remember, has injured his paw, and we've had to carry, he was about 25 kilos, and had to carry him home.
Yeah, hands up.
And what was funny, we just had to keep passing him, didn't we? Because we were like, bicep burn, your turn, I can't do it anymore. So what, like, to bring it back to the strength, I'm not dismissing any of this stuff, but what I'm seeing is people are either buying it and not doing it, massively overthinking everything, and not going deep down into the root of all of this is just resourcing the body for you to be a human being. And so what is the human being once they're strong and fit and eating well and the weight's coming off, and it will come off because you want to be healthy? What's the person underneath? And most people never get there. And that's why we've had clients who are kind of at the point of they're eating to a point of exacerbating health risk. And it's because they're not visiting sense of self at all in the process. And outside of all of this, like, there's a whole life to be had, but people have made health full time, and there's an industry making huge amounts of money on it. So, like I said, I think find coaches, like you said, for meditation and mindfulness, I would not have got there until I found someone who spoke to me in a way that I was like, oh, she's sussed me, man. Because I would use health as a way to get out of everything or work. So really valid excuses. And she was like, no, deep down, you just like really don't want to see who you are, do you? And I was like, yeah, she's rumbled me. Like,
no, it's true, you know. It's like, you know, it's weird because in a way, like I always say, like a good coach is someone that's gonna piss you off a little bit,
call you out.
You know,
piss me off. I just was like,
no, but
I felt rumbled.
But there's nothing wrong with being a bit pissed off, like, because I think we all have this moment where, you know, we can be like, okay, this is how I'm justifying this not happening, and I've convinced myself that that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
And most people would.
Yeah.
But then you get the odd person that goes, yeah, nah, not buying it. That's a cop out.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a good enough reason to have not done this. And at first you might get your back up and be like, whoa. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
You know, this is a perfectly valid reason. And it's like, actually, you're like, no, they're right. Like I've tried to hide behind that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've used that as a little bit of as a get out. Yeah. And
you could call it, like, you know, you say positive procrastination.
Positive, yeah,
Positive excuses.
or no, like productive procrastination.
Yeah.
So it's like
positive excuses.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's almost like, you know, it's a perfectly acceptable, like, you know, thing to go, oh well, it's not like I didn't do that and then just sat on my ass doing nothing. I didn't do that because I did this instead. And it's like, yeah, but you're still seeking a distraction. You're still avoiding the thing and finding something else to do that you can justify by going, oh well, this needed doing. Yeah, it did, but this needs doing as well. So why didn't you do it the other way around?
Yeah. No one's got the long game in mind, where it's also like, it's so easy to put the work, the kids, the other person, the partner, you know, the shop in now, and forget you. And in the meantime, the body is just going to keep sending you, like I said, email after email after email, and then it's just going to pull the plug. And then you're going to wish that you had listened, you know, and so it's, we said it on the last one, the body is so wise. It's got two brains in there, your heart and your gut. And this is not to be like, oh, what's your heartfelt sense about that? It is literally why you get palpitations, because you're not listening. And your body needs you to survive. So if we're not eating enough, we're eating too much, we're stressing our bodies with loads of exercise, we're stressing it with being too sedentary, this is where we'll get, oh, your blood pressure's high. Oh, you've got heart, you know, heart palpitations. Oh, you've got IBS. But I joked before that, like, is my next book going to be, because it's like, is it irritable bowel, or is your bowel irritated by you? Know? And especially your ego, which just will not ever put the mask down and, you know, like sort this out. But then I said to you, I could also do something about sphincters, because your sphincters are a big part of that process. So my idea was sphincters keep the score, wasn't it?
Yeah. But
when the sphincters say no.
Sounds niche. What category would that be in Waterstones?
Health.
Yeah.
It's in the sphincter section. What do you mean? There's a whole section there.
I must have missed that.
Because everyone's going to have indigestion at the end of it. Just trust me.
Next to sci-fi.
Nobody will be able to digest this life.
But I hope we haven't like talked you out of ever buying anything from us. Because we need money for beers. Remember, we was in Mexico and there was this little stall holder selling this like jewelry, and I was like, oh, how much is this? And he was like, oh, whatever you want to pay. We need money for beers. And I loved it because I think he was genuine. I think he was like, just give me whatever. Like, I need a beer.
He only has one, and it brings it down, and it goes to bed.
And he's like, I'm good. But you got something pretty exciting going on right now, haven't you?
I am launching it. I've just sat with this for so long, and with all the education I've received, it's changed how I work with clients. It's changed how I kind of, you know, I guess teach and educate, and also the elements of the mind that have really helped me have been a way that I can help others. And all the teachers that I've worked with, I've been like, please, would you help me do this for any human I know that needs this. And so I'm setting up Mindful Body Method in September, and it will be a place where we discuss, it's kind of to learn the practices that I learned, the practical things, which was the stillness, the meditation, emotional processing, somatic practices, even kind of really understanding how a yoga nidra is very powerful. It's like a starting place, and then seeing how your brain will fight you against all of this. You don't have time. But once the bit that helped me with that is the education and the wisdom, which comes from neurobiology and neuroscience, but also dates right back to like ancient traditions who've been saying some of this for so long, you know, like the power of the mind to really determine our kind of physical and like our physical health, but it's because it's also a big determinant of like our emotional health. And it's interesting because the word psychosomatic, when you say psychosomatic illness, is like it's mind, psyche, and somatic is soma, body. But some people have actually kind of reinterpreted this. James Hollis is one of them. He says it's almost like it's not mind body illness, it's sickness of the soul. Like we just know we're in the wrong life. But then that can sound like, I remember a few times going, I've just made so many mistakes, I'm in the wrong life. And it's not, especially as I looked around and saw the industry get so dogmatic, and I was like, oh, but what else would I do? This is all I've ever loved. But slowly, like I said, that time alone, the answers are all there. Like you will find a way to follow your James Hollis calls it numinous, like your calling, your meaning. And it's a lot simpler. Don't let your mind try and achieve that, because your mind will screw it up royally. But
what I like about all this is like we spoke earlier about balance, and I think like your approach, like it encompasses it all. And that's like a big part of our journey over the years, is like it's not about like being a hardcore gym rat. It's not about being this, like meditating yogi that doesn't believe in creating any tension in their body. It's not about like, what choosing one or the other. It's about bringing it all together and going, oh, this just feels really good. I lift weights, I push myself, but I also balance it with
I'm kind to myself.
Some more gentle movements.
Kind to myself isn't just sitting on the sofa with Netflix and competing.
Self-love is not crinkle cut chips.
Basically. And because a lot of the people I work with, I did find that they had a strong bias. So like you said, some spiritual people that I worked with, or even kind of like therapists, had a strong bias against fitness and lifting weights. And I revisited it and I was like, no, I like being strong, therefore I lift. The why was the biggest thing for me. Own your why. Like,
therefore I lift.
Yeah, but own your why. Don't do it because of external drivers, and don't do it for the body to create the body of your dreams, because you'll never have the body of your dreams. If you're focusing on it, you will always criticize it. If you become neutral to it and just are like, the ego and the body kind of try and identify with one another, but we can update the ego to be healthy, and the ego can be much more aligned with our higher self.
I must say though, like sometimes if I'm going through a hard time, I just look at my arms and I go, but it could be worse. I have small arms. And that's it.
Can anyone listening just hear the challenge?
Big little flex, and I'm like, I'm all right.
One of the challenges,
I'm joking.
I know you're but what's funny is I do say to you, like, God, if anything happened to you and you were bedridden for a year, man, that would be interesting. I'm not sure I'd stick around. I'm joking.
Rude.
No, but it would be so interesting.
What is that if I couldn't train?
Yeah.
Okay.
You would be de-armored.
Oh, okay.
Because there is element.
So I'm just a body to you, am I?
No.
It's all coming out now, folks.
But you are a body to you. You are. Because you joke, but if you didn't have that bicep, what's your calling?
Thanks for listening, folks.
So anyway, it would be interesting. It's interesting and that's when I say, like, peel it all back, take it away, challenge yourself to have one day.
But you've gone to one. That's just some mad extreme. Like, what would have had to have happened to me to be bedridden for a year and not be able to train?
Can't train. It's a really bad back injury, and then and so.
But wouldn't that get most people down?
It'll get everybody down, but that's what I'm saying. It takes you to your rock bottom. So the way that you could mimic this.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the way that you could mimic this is to really see your process addictions and what you're super strong attached to. And you don't have to let any of it go. You can have this body for as long as your age will allow it, of course. But in shamanic traditions, they have a vision quest. And initially I was like, do I do something like this? And it filled me with fear. And you basically go off into the wild, into nature, and have 4 days with no food, just water, be by yourself. And you get all of these downloads and these kind of spiritual epiphanies, kind of similar to doing plant medicine in terms of like just you and the universe lying there. Incredible. However, the thought of it, I was like, I couldn't be in nature. There'd be like danger and animals and mosquitoes. You can pay people, by the way. They do them in Spain, and you can go for like $2,000 for someone to sit and guard the bit of nature that you're in. Yeah. But they would also do the prep, because a lot of this involved tons of integration as well. And I still think I'm just integrating from many of the kind of experiences that I've had here. But the way that we could mimic this is when me and you did a 7-day fast. Remember, I was doing it for gastritis. You were doing it to support me. I was so angry and so low and tired and like, I hate this. I don't like not having food. I don't like not having energy. I resent this. I could never get on board with a kind of spiritual component of, so if you're not constantly having a cup of coffee or on your phone or tapping away on your laptop or sorting someone out, what are you doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
What's there? And so I'm not saying that there's like, it's just really interesting. And I've thought about doing like a 1-day fast where I literally just sit in nature and try and do a lot more like meditation and introversion and interoception and exploration of like, when you're not constantly having and doing, what's your calling? Like what feeds your mind, you know?
Yeah.
So strip it all back. De-armor is like a great phase out of it. Like de-armor yourself, take it all off. And for you, strip back all the muscle and what's underneath. Like you're more than muscle. You're more than muscle. I know. So yeah, challenge to anyone there who wants to try that, but even do it for a morning and don't do it in the intermittent fasting. I'm trying to just like not eat breakfast because I really don't trust myself to eat food. And once I open the floodgates, I don't stop, which is mostly when people fast. So if you don't do that, like say this weekend, try going one weekend without your thing that you always do. It could be a run, it could be wine, like do one weekend without it.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting thought, because it is like, you know, we have these things that we think we're like, oh, I can take it or leave it, but then there are some things where it's almost like, oh God, no, I couldn't imagine not having that. So what are you escaping? Yeah, because you're only having the dopamine because there's something you don't want to feel, and when you sit with that, and when I do this, it's really powerful. I'll close my eyes and my brain goes, it's not going to work today. Go and get a coffee. It's not going to work today. Go and get breakfast. You're hungry. You deserve some food. You haven't eaten that much yesterday. Go. Honest to God, my brain fights me and I go, I'm not going. If I don't go, how do I feel? What and where in my body is kind of feeling that? And my stomach just feels sick some days. It's really powerful. I'm like, oh shit. And that's why, like, I'm feeling sick. Okay, so what's that about? You don't even need to interpret it. Like the greatest skill I've learned is non-verbal. Yeah. Just allow it. But there's a lot going, like I said, you've got a body aquarium going on in there. Food is the big one in this instance, isn't it? It's like, you know, we all rely on food. What not the sort of all, like a lot of us have a reliance on food, whether it's for what food is, fuel, or comfort,
more dopamine,
distraction, you know, like avoidance, you know. And it's like, you know, I've often had a chat with clients where I'm like, it's okay to feel hungry. Like you shouldn't strive to feel hungry, but if you're hungry, so what? Like, you know,
but what does that bring up for a lot of people? There's some, it's a big link with fear. Yeah. Like, no,
exactly. And it's like, you know, big part of like the journey for us has been like, you know, to kind of sit with feelings a bit more when they come up, sit with emotions, don't be so quick to seek a distraction and it's uncomfortable, and that's why most people do avoid doing it. But like, because we've done that work ourselves, naturally we want to pass that on to our clients and for them to benefit from it. But I'm conscious of time. So where can people find out more about mindful body method?
If they head to fitterfood.com, and you can join the mailing list, because what I'm going to do is, I don't know numbers wise what's the capacity yet, so there'll be like a founding membership, and that will be at a preferential rate, and then we will build as we have more practitioners coming on board.
It's exciting.
There it is.
Proud of you.
We're going to take over the world.
I'm proud of your journey.
The tribe is going to become so powerful. We're going to build our arc. Gonna sit there.
It's not a cult. It's not a cult.
It's not a cult. You can do whatever you want, so it's not a cult.
It's like a cult, only cultier.
Yeah. Dogs are all barking, we should go.
Yeah. Big love, guys. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Lots going on there.
Yeah.
And we're gonna say ta-ra. See you on the next episode. Bye.